Alright lads and lasses, I'm Eccentric Racer, and here it is, the Lotus Evija. Thank Christ it's in Forza Horizon 5, so I don't have to play a mobile game or Project Cars 3. Phew. Anyway, I absolutely love this bloody thing. I think it's the best looking electric hypercar there is, if not the best looking electric car, full stop. I absolutely love at the back there, just the little wind tunnels. Just for aerodynamic, it is utterly insane. I absolutely love it, and the fact as well that it's a Lotus. It's a company well known for making little sports cars to go around the track as quick as possible, and they just make this thing, and it is utterly insane. However, it is an electric hypercar, so it means it has two rivals, the Raesr Tachyon and the Rimac Concept 2. Delving into the stats, the Lotus actually does have the upper hand. In Forza terms, it is the highest PI at 994 or 993, then followed by the Raesr in the 980s, and the Rimac is 963. In the stats properly though, the Lotus Evija has the power advantage at 1973 brake horsepower. That does make it the most powerful. Torque, however, it is actually the least torquey at 1253 foot-pounds of torque or 1700 newton meters. It is also as well medium weight at 1680 kilos. It's a little bit heavier than the Raesr. 0 to 60 though is 2.7 seconds, so it does make it quicker than the Raesr, and it has a top speed of 221 miles an hour, which does actually make it the slowest of the three electric hypercars. It actually has the lowest top speed, but the way it gets to that top speed is absolutely insane, as you'll find out later on in the video when I actually take these round some tracks. The Evija, it accelerates. Once it's going, the acceleration is absolutely mental. It really, really does get to that 220 miles an hour top speed, ridiculously good. And yeah, of the three hypercars, this is my personal favourite, especially looks-wise. Much better looking than this, the Raesr. Out the front, I actually quite like it. It's like an aggressive jet fight and things like that. The back is just absolutely wrong. Like, it's slanted awfully. Like, at the side is a terrible line, and the fact it's got a gaping hole in the back. It is hideous at the back, but brilliant looking at the front. I really like the front of the car. However, the stats, it is the least powerful at only 1251 brake horsepower, but it is the torqueiest at 3650 foot-pounds of torque. That is ridiculously high. Weight as well, it is the lightest as well at 3200 pounds or 1400 kilos, so it's a little bit less than 1.5 tons. 0 to 60 is the lowest at around 3 seconds. This is the Forza stat, so I might be wrong. And it does have a top speed, I did test this myself, of 242 miles an hour. So the Raesr is the least powerful, and it does have the lowest acceleration, but its top speed is in the middle, and it is also the lightest. And stats-wise as well, it is also the best handling as well, compared to the other two. It actually does have the highest handling stat. And it's, to be honest, when I drove it, in Forza Horizon 4, it was terrible. But in this, I actually quite like the car. It did surprise me, the Raesr, I will admit. And we get to the Rimac. Yeah, this car is absolutely stupid. Everyone knows the Rimac by now. Everyone knows the fact that, Richard Hammond crashed it. So everyone knows the Rimac. It is utterly, utterly insane. This is the Concept 2 that we've got in Forza Horizon 5. We don't have the actual production car, which I think it's called the Rimac. I can't remember exactly. However, it is not the most powerful. It's a little bit less powerful than the Lotus at 1887 brake horsepower, so it's not that far off. Torque as well, it's got 2300 newton meters or about 1700 foot-pounds. Weight as well, it is the heaviest at just under 2 tons, 1950 kilos or 4300 pounds. It is the fastest in terms of 0 to 60, 1.85 seconds 0 to 60. That is almost a second faster than the 2.7 seconds from that Lotus Evija, and the top speed is 261 miles an hour. 40 miles an hour more than the Lotus Evija. Yeah, this thing is ridiculous. Absolutely stupid in a straight line. And yeah, it's it is absolutely insane. Like, the stats of these cars, and just, you know, the fact that their power is just readily available, especially in the Rimac. Off the line, it really does not bog down, and the fact that it can just do 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds, that's a hell of a lot faster than a lot of the hypercars, and the fact that this was a concept and it's now in production, it is insane. However, stats only can carry a car so far. What were they actually like on a track? So first off, we went to the Playa Azul, this really fast flowing track. I took the Raesr out for a spin first, because mostly, like I said, I didn't like the car in Horizon 4. In this, I really enjoyed the car. It is seriously good, this car to drive. Like I said, it has the highest handling stat, and like I said, the acceleration isn't there, but it does have that top speed. This very much is a momentum car, the Raesr Tachyon. If you can carry good speed, you can keep it in the high speed sections, and yeah, it will not really falter that much, because it does have the handling to compete with the other electric hypercars. It just doesn't have the acceleration, but it does have that top speed, so it is a pure momentum car. And round the Playa Azul, it really liked this track. It really did. And yeah, it was a hell of a lot of fun to throw around. The car was really planted. I was able to throw it into these corners with a lot of confidence, even with me not being 100% used to the brakes at this time of recording. I have gotten a hell of a lot more used to them now, but yeah, it was stupid amounts of fun to throw around here. I really enjoyed the car, and I would actually recommend you get one and throw it round some of the faster tracks. It is seriously impressive. Like there, I'm carrying a lot of speed through that fast left-hander, and coming up to the final corner as well. Although I got the corner a little bit wrong, I'm carrying a lot of speed through it. So yeah, the water at turn 2 as well is actually very mean. So I then went to the Lotus Evija, and this car was mental. This was seriously good. Not quite able to carry the cornering speed of the Raesr Tachyon, but the acceleration on this car is absolutely insane. Yes, it has a lower 0 to 60 than the Rimac, but once this car is going, by God, does it go. The acceleration and the higher speeds is absolutely mental. And the best part is as well is that it can still actually carry good corner speed. Not quite as good as the Raesr Tachyon. It doesn't quite have the overall grip. You can see there that the tyres are just letting go just a little bit, but the acceleration is able to, carry it through. I actually do top out down the beginning sector before I slam on the brakes into here, and this car actually has better brakes than the Raesr. The Raesr actually really struggles with the braking. Even though I threw it round here and it was good fun to throw around, the Raesr does not actually have the braking capacity of the other two electric hypercars, especially against this Evija, which carries both good cornering grip, good cornering speed, and good brakes, and to top it all off, high acceleration. This is the handling car. It doesn't have the top speed, but the acceleration and the handling is second to none compared to the other electric hypercars. And yeah, it was so much fun to throw around Playa Azul circuit. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Now the big Rimac. It was not a fan of this track. It just does not have the handling of the other two electric hypercars. However, the power of it was just ridiculous. I mean, you can see there, it is outpacing the Raesr and the Lotus. Obviously, it's almost doing 230 into the first big braking zone. For the other two, the beginning couple of corners are small braking zones for the Rimac. The Lotus, I couldn't quite take the beginning sectors flat out. The Raesr, that could almost take the sectors flat out. If I got a very good line, it would be flat out. But with the Rimac, it's not so much. It does struggle a little bit through the corners. unsurprisingly, it is the heaviest, and it is the heaviest and is dealing with a lot of power. The acceleration on it as well, not quite as good as the Lotus Evija's, but it's still a lot, and just the weight of it does make it a little bit of a boat to get it round some of these corners, but it was still actually doing decently well around the Playa Azul circuit. I'm still able to carry, well, very high speeds. It's not, you know, I'm not going to say it's 170 miles an hour around one of these fast corners is slow, because it is not, but compared to the other two, it is. It's almost 30 miles an hour down on the two other electric hypercars, just because of the weight, just because it does really struggle through these corners. There is a lot of understeer that you'll have to get used to, especially because it's four-wheel drive. And yeah, the understeer is that, I will say as well, all these cars will run stock and with no tuning. So the Evija would go 2/10 faster than the Raesr. The Raesr really being flattered by the circuit. It was the Raestr's playground now, and the Rimac really did not like that circuit being 3 seconds slower, just under 3 seconds slower than the Raesr down there, and it is 3 seconds slower than the Lotus Evija around the Playa Azul circuit. Yeah. The Evija Raesr really running away there. Up next, I headed into one of the main cities of Mexico. I think this was the Cathedral circuit. I'm not too sure, actually. I can't remember. It will be in the title where I do all the best lap times. So I threw the Rimac around here at first, and yeah, the Rimac actually did like this circuit, weirdly. Even though it's tight and twisty and technical and things like that, so that's not really the Rimac's strong point. The low-end acceleration of the Rimac actually flatters it round here. The fact that it is able to get on the power and accelerate lower much better than both the Lotus and the Raesr actually does help it a lot. Around this circuit. That final corner as well is really mean with these cars, because you are taking it at quite high speed. You actually do get a little bit of airtime around there, and it is going to throw your car wide, and yeah, you can miss the apex. The Raesr didn't like this circuit near as much as that Rimac, and it is weird to say, considering the more handling orientation, or kind of the more tight and twisty nature of this circuit. But it's the acceleration. The Raesr really struggles to get out of the corners. Like I said, this is a pure momentum car, and this isn't a momentum track, so it does really struggle out of the lower speed corners. It still gets to the really high speed that it can manage, but it really does struggle to get out of these really slow corners. And like I said, it is able to carry more speed than the Rimac, but just getting out the corners, it will not be able to really run away from it. However, it was still slightly quicker than that Rimac, but not by much. And then we go to the Lotus Evija. The Lotus Evija did like this circuit. Again, it's a combination of, it has good handling. There's no regards about it. It has good handling. Not as good as the Raesr, but what it has above the Raesr is the acceleration. Not quite as good at the Rimac at the lower end, but it is able to carry more speed than that Rimac around the corners, and it's able to get out of the corners better than the Raesr. So it is a nice combination of the two. This middle ground car, it's almost a jack of all trades type of thing, where it's not jack of all trades, master of none type of thing. Not as good around the corners, and not as good accelerating at the lower end, but it is good enough in both of those scenarios that it carries a lot more speed around this circuit than both of those cars, and it does set a really impressive time as well. Ignore the fact I went off there. So this is the, in a minute I will show you the best lap times. Yes, this is, yeah, it was right, I was the Cathedral. Yeah, the Lotus Evija is 1 second faster than both the Raesr and the Rimac. The Rimac, to be honest, if I tried better, I probably could get a slightly better lap time than that Raesr. The Raesr just did not like that circuit, but then again, in the same token, I could probably go quicker in the Raesr. But the Evija is the clear winner round there as well. Yeah. The Evija is just utterly it's just stupid. Like, I can't really stress that enough. And for the final circuit, I still stayed in the city, but this was a faster circuit now. So you've got the technical bit to start off with, but then the track opens up in the end, and it does actually. Well, it's a good circuit. I did have a lot of fun throwing these cars around, and yeah, I started off with the Evija, considering it was the fastest around the other two. I wanted to see how quick this car would go, set this as the benchmark, and this car, it was absolutely glorious to drive. It seriously is, and this track really favoured it. I mean, you know, the other two tracks did favour the Evija as well, but this one, it seriously flew. That left-hander there that you just see me go past, that is a massive pain in the arse to actually get right, because if you go a little bit too wide, there's a nasty curve on the outside. You're going to miss the apex of the corner by a long shot. This right-hander, not quite flat out in the Evija, but it's close. It is very close. And in the final corner, if you're able to get it stopped, get on a good run, you can get on the power and fly it down this hill. And the Lotus was the only car I actually managed to hit 200 miles an hour down that straight. Up next, I threw the Rimac around. Now the Rimac, like you see there, the Rimac does not have as much speed going down that hill as the Lotus. However, it's still not slow whatsoever. It's just a little bit more of a handful to get around the corners, especially this beginning part. The Rimac will struggle compared to the other two. The Raesr again will have its own issue, but at the later stages of this track, it does, like I say, open up a little bit. So it is going to flatter the Rimac a little bit more in that instance. It's going to allow the Rimac to start pulling back in the other two competitors on the final section of the track. And yeah, like I said, it was a little bit of a struggle to get it through the beginning sectors. However, once we start getting to this bit, the Rimac does start coming into its own coming into its own, where the track opens and I'm able to get on the power with the Rimac, the lower end acceleration really helping. I do go a little bit wide again, it just does not have the cornering, but around this final corner I am able to get my foot down and I am almost due 200 miles an hour, but I wasn't quite able to do it. The Raesr, it was this car, like I said, it was still good fun to throw it around, and it does actually help the final sector as well. Whilst it does open up, that's going to allow the Rimac to catch up. It also has faster corners as well, so that's going to allow the Raesr to come into its own as well. I do actually clip the wall on the inside there. If I didn't, it would be a much quicker lap. That was my fault there. I just turned in a little bit too early with the Raesr, and yeah, it's gonna slow the lap down a lot. And yeah, this was the I am showcasing the fastest laps that I did with the cars. I never actually beat that lap. This lap was actually very good, despite the collision. Would it be faster than the Evija? Probably not. I think the Evija, would still have the acceleration to be able to keep it ahead of the Raesr Tachyon at all on this track. But yeah, the faster corners does favour this car quite a lot as well, like the Rimac, where the ending stages of this track where it opens up flatters that too. So yeah, all three cars have their own unique advantages. They've all got their places where they'll be stronger. The Lotus is just all over. Both the Raesr and the Rimac sort of go into their own at the end of the track. I actually managed to make turn 1 that time, but it was a slower lap anyway. So yeah, the Evija, 1 second faster than the Raesr. The Raesr, though, I will say, I did collide with the wall. That could get into the I imagine that would get into the 113s. The Rimac, again, it struggles a little bit at 115, but that could get into the 114. So yeah, the Evija, all three circuits, the Evija is the clear winner compared to the Raesr and the Rimac. However, you know, what if you want to take these cars for a drag race? And yeah, both the Lotus and the Raesr, you can see there, really do bog down the start. The Rimac is absolutely flying. However, the acceleration of that Evija actually does come in at the later end. It almost has more speed than the Rimac, but it runs out just down the... this is the 1 mile drag race, so like the old airport. And yeah, the Lotus just runs out of speed. So the Rimac would win with a 19.6, the Lotus with 21.2, and the Raesr with a 23.2. So, as conclusions go, is the Evija a competitor to the 2 electric hypercars? The answer is yes. This is seriously the winner or against those 2 cars. This is the fastest. Yes, it didn't win in the drag race. That goes to the Rimac. However, it's only, I reckon, because of the Rimac's launch and the acceleration. You saw the Lotus Evija did actually start to catch up with its acceleration. It just runs out of speed. The Lotus Evija as well is the most expensive at 2.5 million credits. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is the ultimate electric hypercar in my eyes. All it needs is just a little bit more of a top speed buff, and just needs to increase the top speed a little bit, and yeah, the other 2 will not compete. The Raesr, whilst around the tracks, it was the second fastest. The low end acceleration, it just harms this car massively. The launch of it is just really, really bad. And it's going to harm it in the drag races, it's going to harm it in the slower tracks. But if you get on a track that's very fast, very technical, the Raesr does actually come into its own, where it really, really does fly around these faster tracks with the higher speed stuff, just because of its handling. It is a very, very fun car to drive, and it's also the cheapest if you cheat at 1,050,000 credits. If you cheat like me, which I am a massive cheat, I can't be bothered to wait a little bit to get the Raesr. So the Rimac, it's stupid. It really, really is stupid. Round the tracks, like I said, it is the slowest. Round the Cathedral circuit, it would keep up with the Raesr just because of its low end acceleration. And yeah, in a drag race, this is the clear winner. There's just no word about it. Even if the Raesr had the higher top speed, like if you change the gearing to make it a higher top speed car, it just will not compete with the Rimac. The acceleration is too slow. The Evija, on the other hand, will probably compete with it for a little while. It's just that getting to that speed does take its time, so the Rimac would be miles off. It will be a little bit in the distance anyway, and it will be doing similar speeds to the Evija. So yeah, in conclusion, the Evija is the clear winner. Also, this Rimac is a little bit cheaper than the Evija, but not by much, and honestly, you're much better off with the Evija. So, as conclusions go, yeah, Evija, best electric hypercar. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, do the stuff the YouTube algorithm likes. Link in the description will be in my Discord in case you want to join that. However, that's going to be it from me, and until next time, ciao for now.